The Brian McCarthy Interview Show. If you're under 18, don't listen. Having said that, the show is really awesome. And if you did listen, no one would really know. But don't listen. Don't listen, kids. Okay? Don't listen.
Niños, escuchen estas palabras mientras que salen de mis labios agrietos. El siguiente programa, aunque esto sea muy divertido para toda la gente, no es para los niños. Como un burro que busca agua fría, un balde, y eso le va a dar toda la satisfacción que necesita, esta agua no es para ustedes. Por favor, vayan donde sus padres. Ayúdelos a limpiar los baños. No vayan a escuchar esto. Es muy importante. Que Dios nos bendiga a los Estados Unidos.
Enfants du monde, détournez les yeux et bouchez-vous les oreilles. Le programme suivant, bien que spectaculaire et divertissant à tous égards, n'est pas pour vous. Veuillez vous détourner et jouer dans les Champs-Élysées ou peut-être dans les catacombes humides de Paris, car devant vous se trouve la ruine. Vous avez été prévenus, s'il vous plaît. N'écoutez pas, et pourtant, sachez que nous faisons tout cela pour vous, car vous êtes l'avenir et vous êtes la lumière. Que Dieu vous bénisse et dit bonjour à votre mère de ma part.
Brian McCarthy Interview Show. Adam is now drinking his Coke. Disco. Listen to that beat. Breaking it down in Uptown. Take your hand and touch it. Now rub it. Brian McCarthy Interview Show. Listen to that beat. Touch it. Now rub it. I wish I could still drink. And welcome, and thank you so much. Rub it, now touch it, now lick it, now spit, right? There's going to be a test on this later, so do all of that and more. Welcome to the show. My name is Brian McCarthy, and that's Adam Hineker. And if you're listening, well, then it's a podcast. And if you're watching, it's on YouTube or Facebook. And if you're on Patreon, thank you so much. And hopefully you've been enjoying all the exciting pictures of my bathroom. And, the content just never ends. But if you're not on Patreon, I would encourage you to get over there because there are just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of shows. And
it's a real kind of boys club over there.
There's one girl named Jennifer, I think, that's on. Yeah.
Okay.
You have a lot of Patreon members when you can list them all by name. But,
yeah, right.
There's Jim Sullivan's got a sister named Mary Sullivan. Anyway, everybody, welcome. Thank you. We don't have a guest today, which is fine. By choice. But so
we turned a lot of people down.
Oh my God, I'm so ticked. You know who wanted to do it? Dabney Coleman.
Yeah.
From Major Dad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Major Dad.
I was
that's a deep cut. That was CBS Sunday nights, baby.
Yeah,
that was prime sitcom.
That was the wasn't the Delta Burke also on that too? Because didn't she play
women?
His girl didn't he play his wife or girlfriend?
Maybe. I don't know.
For those of you who aren't 50, we are referring to sitcoms from the 80s. Thank you very much. And it was actually funny on my so before I get into whatever nonsense we're going to talk about, so we'll be paying a lot of attention to the YouTube page. So if you have any particular question, if anything you want to have come up, today's a good day because we're sort of dialed in on that. We're poised. We're ready. So sometimes I know we have somebody here and it's hard to kind of do both. And but anyway,
they might have a thick accent and can't stop fondling themselves.
My pussy is so tired. You didn't.
I kind of half thought we were going to get to see those on the Patreon because she just couldn't stop fondling her breasts.
My nipples
the whole time.
My nipples are not sensitive at all.
Yeah, not at all.
They are like a piece of Matchbox cars.
Remember, she said she would motorboat you.
Yeah, she said
till your heart was content, but don't go anywhere near the nipples.
Yeah, don't go near the nipples. That makes it weird.
Yeah, right.
Well,
right.
I always say nipples are cheating. It's okay to that all that tit meat is fine, but once you start getting the nipples involved,
sure,
becomes
a sex act.
You made a sacred covenant with Jesus Christ to not touch those nipples. Although I am curious to know when she talked about how I don't mean to be coarse, but how tight her vagina was. It was interesting for her to keep saying that. I'm just kind of like, all right, well,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever it's a weird selling point for someone to be like,
yes,
hey, my nipples no go, but my pussy is super duper. It's like having sex with a 5-year-old boy.
Right, yeah, right. It does have an implication to it.
Like,
5-year-old boy.
Well, not girl's gross. I always look at whenever I look at pedophiles, and I'm like, girls.
Why? It wasn't kind of weird. There was that documentary, The Keepers, about those priests, and it was kind of alarming that they were into girls.
Yeah, it's gross.
They had cops in on it. They were turning out the fucking girls to the police department. It was crazy, but it was interestingly enough, all hetero.
it's funny. I guess there's a statute of limitations, right? When
sure, they're trying to take that down. The statute, the monument of limitations,
monument statute. You're right, actually. The statute. If you can almost see it from the highway, folks. You don't have to even. You can almost see it from the highway, from the turnpike. I can see there's that statute of limitations.
Yeah, so, I don't know what it is. I guess it depends on the crime. What is it, 10 years or something? Or?
I know murder's forever.
Oh, really? Oh, no.
Yeah, especially if they're white.
I can't.
It's really forever. But no, I'm. What I was
going to divulge where I buried the bodies.
But when I was in 1998, when I was 25, I very briefly lived in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, in between living in Miami and living in New York, and I worked at a restaurant called Jenny's Bistro, which was in Peddler's Village, which is like this weird, like kind of fake small town village that this developer built.
Cobblestone streets.
Not that bad. It's not like Hogwarts or something, but it was like it was like
a Ren fair.
Yeah, it was cute. It was kind of like it's like they would do like a lantern festival in spring, and they do like this in the winter. They'd have like fucking trees everywhere, and I don't know. Have you ever been to Bucks County? You ever been to New Hope? I
don't think. Maybe, I mean, something. Is that a place I would have driven through on my way to Pittsburgh or something?
No. It's actually very weird. It's difficult to get to. It's about 90 miles away from here, and it's basically sort of down towards Philadelphia, but it's in Pennsylvania. It's about it's like 50, 60 miles north of Philadelphia. So it's kind of like rural, quasi-rural, but it's there's a big. It used to be, I mean, it still is kind of, but it used to be really, really, really gay.
Really?
Yeah. There's a bar there called the Eagle. And
between Allentown and Philly.
Yeah, kind of. Right. That's about right. Yeah. It's on the Delaware River. Okay. So it's across from Lambertville, New Jersey. It's, it's kind of a colonial area.
Doylestown. I'm just naming things.
Not too far from Doylestown. It's actually a big comedy club in Doylestown.
Oh, it's right by Fountainville.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah. It's right by and actually when I lived there, I actually lived in Lumberville for a while, which is right
Lumberville.
Right by Upper Black Eddy. And but I lived there between Miami and New York. And I was trying to, and I got all my stuff out, and my then girlfriend, she ended up, we lived together. This is when we lived on a horse insemination farm.
What the fuck?
All right, so
that I don't remember that detail. I do remember you saying something about a stop between here and Miami. Now, did she have a connection to Bucks County?
No, my friend Carl, who I bought a used mattress from in Miami, and we became very good friends, who unfortunately we have fallen out of touch.
So you became friends because of you met
yes,
over the sale of a used mattress.
Yeah, I could tell he had a little spring in his step.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Fucking, what do you got?
Yeah.
Well, we lived in this building, my girlfriend and I, and we we actually for the first maybe week we didn't have a bed, so we slept on like a floating one of those things you put in like a pool, like a floating pool toy kind of thing.
Okay, yeah, like an air mattress.
No, this was not an air mattress. This was literally like
sleeping on a pool noodle.
I was sleeping on a noodle.
Jesus Christ!
Wouldn't be the first time. Yeah,
terrible for my spine.
Yeah, it was, and so we needed to buy a bed, and when you're young, like you don't realize how gross it is to buy a used mattress. But
it's pretty weird.
I bought it from him.
Okay,
and
now. How did this work out? Because you met Carl in Miami,
yes,
but you stopped in Bucks County first.
No. Moved New York to Miami.
Okay, meet Carl.
96.
Right.
Meet Carl 96.
Carl's the Bucks County connection.
He's already in Miami, but he leaves Miami in 98 or something, and he's from that Bucks County area. So when my girlfriend and I made the decision to move from Miami back to New York, and our apartment fell through, I had already given up our apartment in New York, and I was kind of like, fuck. I had like a tractor trailer full of used vintage clothing and antiques and shit.
Okay.
And I didn't know what to do with it. And this guy, Carl, said to me, he goes, listen, I live in Bucks County. He was a very good friend, and I love Carl. I'm sorry. I don't, he just doesn't call me back anymore. I don't know what happened, but I think I kind of lost him to politics.
Once he got that, lost him to Politics?
I never paid him with a mattress.
Once he got, he got that.
I think
mattress money.
I think he got a little, maybe, I think he got a little conservative in his politics, and I don't know. Listen, whatever. I was in his wedding. We're very good friends.
Might be friends with the My Pillow guys.
We haven't talked. Yeah,
big on mattresses.
Maybe I should see if I can buy.
Be friends with Mike Lindell.
You can buy a used pillow from him. I don't know. We're not on Facebook. Last time I was on Facebook with him, he was posting something about how he was upset that there was like a trans bathroom in his kid's middle school or something. So I'm kind of like, all right, man, I love you, whatever. And he lives even kind of farther out in Pennsylvania now. But anyway, so when we moved, so he said to me, Carl said, listen, if you're going to move and you're kind of stuck, he goes, why don't you move into Bucks County? I know everybody there. You can get a job in a restaurant or bar or whatever. It's a tourist area.
Okay.
And he goes, you can live there. And then he said they have these flea markets everywhere. And he said, what you can do is you can sell your crap that you guys have on the weekends.
Your wares.
Sell your stuff. Start to get rid of it at these flea markets. And
liquidate.
So that's kind of what I did. So I moved in there and I lived in this. But it was funny because at first I lived with him while my girlfriend was finishing our affairs, God knows what she was up to, down in Miami for a month and a half. And then when she came up from Miami, I found us like this 1-bedroom like cottage like on
this is freestanding.
Yes, this is freestanding, but it was
its own thing.
It was a 30-acre horse farm. And what they did, it was one of those farms where they, and forgive my equestrian vocabulary here, but they sucked the cum out of the horses' cocks with machines. They say this? Did they put you out to stud? Is that the term? What they do is they would take these horses, they put them in the stalls, and they put these big like things on their cocks, and they kind of jerk them off with these like. It's like a
So the horse breeding is done through kind of like turkey baster situation. Well, they don't actually.
Oh yeah, they save the cum. They get the cum out of the horse thing. The horse like piston pump thing, and I guess it goes into some sort of receptacle.
Oh, so they don't even get to.
And I'll tell you one thing: these people were super into it. Like there's an area in West Palm Beach called Wellington, which is where all of America's polo ponies are. So these people were like. Their horse cum was very valuable, and boy, did it taste that way.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you did the taste test.
They see me in the middle of the night. I'm down there just drinking horse cum right from the tap.
Jeez Louise.
Well, what was funny was you would even at night, like in the middle of the night, it'd be like. Just 2 a.m. and we had this little. I think we paid like $600, $800 a month for this little like 1-bedroom place, and you would just hear like gung 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 gung.
Wow, just milking a Clydesdale.
And so that's where we lived there, and that was right down the street from this peddler's village, and I worked at a place called Jenny's Bistro, and I'll tell you a really funny thing about this Jenny's Bistro because it was in Peddler's Village. Jenny's Bistro was like the fancy restaurant in this place. And I waited tables there, and then I also bartended. There was this really butch lesbian, and whenever she couldn't bartend, I would fill in for her. And she was one of those people that took her bartending like really, really.
She was a mixologist. She probably wears a lab coat now.
I think this is before mixologist. It was
more
like
she is now. She's definitely like teaching classes in Bushwick.
Everyone I know, if you were like 20 years older than me back then, you're probably dead. To be honest with you, at this point, like people that I know from them now then are probably dead. I was amazed. My mother told me a few weeks ago, she's like, remember this teacher, like Mr. whatever the fuck his name was? I was like, yeah. She's like, oh, I ran into him a couple years ago. He asked about you. I was like, what is he, 115? Like, how do these guys fucking live?
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
I know you could be in your 70s,
20, you could
80s. Yes. Yeah. No, for sure. But it's just still funny to me. I'm like, because when you're younger, you think of these people as so much older.
And they might have been like 24.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like,
crazy to think about. Like, I think about like the hot teacher in my school, and it's like
Mr. Beckett, Beckett. Right. Oh my God.
But she was probably, I don't know, she 28
probably. Yeah, I know, but back then it seems
crazy. They seem so much, but it's like think about that now. That a 10-year age gap is not a huge deal.
No, it's not.
For
11-year. But try telling that to an angry jury.
Exactly. Right. Yes. When the boy is 9.
But what was funny to me, so this Jenny's Bistro place, but this woman, the bartender, she had like the really like shaved head, and because it was very very gay friendly part of the country, and but I remember like I would bartend, and then like afterwards like she'd come back and she would like bitch to everybody about how dirty I left her bar. And then she'd come up to me and be like, "Hey, Brian, you see my muddler?" You know, like, "Hey, Brian,
my pestle."
Yeah. I usually keep my shakers over here to the left of
people
the
get very touchy about
of the. Well, this is the same type. Remember, I told you the story about the guy when I bartended that would blow the snot out of his hole.
Sure.
That was at a place called Odette's, which was also in Bucks County.
Maybe
that was,
not as classy of a place.
More
guy with the tracheotomy,
more fun
from the Dare commercial.
Excuse me, folks. Pardon me. We'll be right with you. Is that we have a raw bar special. Go ahead. We need a hot one.
Oh God. Oysters.
Yep. Oysters, nicotine neck oysters.
Yeah.
Oh. 13 for a dozen.
Well, nicotine. We're not going to beat that for a show.
Nicotine neck oysters.
Nicotine neck oyster just knocked off sleeping on a pool noodle.
Yeah, sleeping on a pool. Okay. So anyway, I worked at this Jenny's place, and but what was funny to me about this place, and this is really funny, and I'll try to explain this in a way that is funny. But so because you were not close to an urban area, and it was very developed around there, but it was still like kind of too far. One of those areas, it's too far from Philadelphia to like live in Philadelphia and work, but there's enough. Pennsylvania has all these like little towns all over the place.
Sure.
So like, for example, the farm that I lived on right next door, they were developing like 100 acres of like townhouses. So it's kind of like, it was that kind of, it was like, 50 years ago, it was middle of fucking nowhere. And, it still is. If you went up past Doylestown, for example, it would get more and more rural. But anyway, so we go and but this Jenny's place, they had a really hard time having kitchen staff. Because the kitchen staff is, it's like only people live up there are like kind of
a lot of whites,
and a lot of wealthy whites. And so for example, and this is the story I'm trying to get to eventually, is a lot of like high school girls.
That's kind of the next thing is when you can't.
Well, like, and
you don't have Guatemalans. You gotta.
Well, the high school girls were like hostesses, or they were
front of the house,
or exactly. So, what did the owner of Peddler's Village, who was kind of like this kind of famous, he was like a hillbilly kind of Donald Trump guy, and he had this idea where they had an agreement with like the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections, where they would basically they built. I cannot believe. I don't even know if they still do this or not, but they built like kind of like, which I can best describe as a halfway house. So basically like an apartment area that was behind kind of all the fun stuff of Peddler's Village. Like here you are, like, having a carriage ride with your family, having mulled apple cider, and there's, 70 rapists from Philadelphia. So what they did is they had an arrangement with the state or county or whatever, where if you, I guess, I don't really know. I'm sure it had to be like a nonviolent crime or something.
Yeah, I think they're the well-behaved ones and people with like a good, clean record in jail. You've been locked up for 5 years with no kind of
you don't want to take
slips.
Take a guy who's been sexually assaulting 14-year-old girls and put him in a restaurant full of 14-year-old girls.
Or a guy that shanked a guy last week or whatever. He's not getting work release.
He just goes to the judge. He's like, "What'd you expect me to do, Your Honor? Hey, a leopard don't change its rape spots." All right. So anyway, what was funny to me, so this place, right, the entire kitchen staff were essentially prisoners. Yeah. So they would like finish their gig or whatever. They would go back to their halfway house. I guess they get pissed.
But they actually lived in like kind of almost on site in the sense. This wasn't a thing where they were going back and forth to they
walked back and forth, and they had like a fair amount of freedom. I mean, not really. And what's funny about it is like they didn't really advertise that like when you started working there.
Right.
Well, like to the staff, it wasn't like I had training.
Sure.
And they were like, "You see all those black guys in the back? Yeah. They're all armed robbers, but they're doing their best."
Tell you what a teardrop means.
Yeah. You know how many chances they're getting? This is their second. Okay, Brian. So, but I remember like they would always like there's this one guy who worked the broiler, and he'd always, because I like lamb chops. And he'd always just give me lamb chops, and he'd be like, "Hey, can you give me some Newports?" So I could like give him Newports for lamb chops.
Shit. So you were like functioning within the prison economy
a little bit. I was putting money on his books.
You're like, this guy really likes cup of soup.
Yeah, exactly.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I just show up at work with a case of honey buns.
And you're like, you realize you can just eat the lamb shanks, right? But he's like, no, I want dehydrated mackerel.
I want to make this feel.
I got a taste good. For
be funny if they let those guys like make the specials. He's like, "What's your special today?" He's like, "Well, we take a grilled cheese, we stuff it behind a radiator for 9 hours,
cover it in plastic wrap." It's always like plastic wrap and smashed. We make like a fucking prison enchiladas.
We got we got prison cheesecake, which is Philadelphia cream cheese with mashed up Fritos.
Right.
And
those are the two things that I wonder, because I watch so many prison shows, is how long before I would do gay stuff.
20 minutes.
And I'm already doing it. And then 2, like how long before I would be like, all right, I'm going to make like a fucking ramen Doritos roll, like before you got crazy with, because those are 2 things I would like to think I would never do.
Well, what I understand, because I also watch a lot of prison stuff, but I want to get back to the Jenny's Bistro thing in a minute. But just to touch on this for a minute, what I do understand from all of my prison shows is a lot of times what guys will do is they'll set up like a mini kitchen in.
So they're like
so you'll go by
a service.
Yeah, and you'll be like, yo, let me, and a guy will come up and be like, yo, I'm making sweat sock tamales or whatever.
Yes.
And you go by and you buy them and you trade like stamps, trade you a honey bun for and then people keep a record of it. And then when you get your commissary next week, and guys run
settle up.
The guys run stores. My question is, for me in prison, is how long before I'm like, so what's with this Pruno?
Oh yeah, well Pruno, Pruno, I get that, because you want to.
Pruno's, for those of you,
nip.
Those of you who have respect for yourselves, Pruno is prison wine, and what they do is you basically take a plastic bag, and you put in moldy fruit and usually some sort of bread, like moldy white bread, and then you need something to activate it, like sugar. So you need like the yeast and the sugar and the, of course, the moldy oranges for the flavor. And then you take that plastic
citrus notes.
And you take that plastic. Yeah, I'm getting some honeysuckle. And you take that plastic bag and you double tie it. And then what you do is you put it in your toilet. And then you let it sort of macerate, marinate,
ferments, right?
Yeah, ferment. And then presumably you take it out and you strain it, and then it turns into an alcoholic beverage. Which apparently a lot of times people go blind from it.
Oh God.
You can really fuck up your Pruno. Like you really. So if you get into jail and you're a good Pruno maker, then it's a real, and I wouldn't do it so I wouldn't be sexually abused. I would do it so that I could sexually abuse guys that were out of my league.
For sure.
I would get the hot guys.
Yes.
They'd be like, hey, old man McCarthy down in Cell Block H with the Pruno King.
Yeah, you'd get the young hot guys.
I just show up like some like 19-year-old twink comes into prison. I just show up with like a flask. I'm like, here, first one's free.
Yeah, I saw a video. I want to say it was on like Instagram of a guy, like it was like a prison guard blocking the cell so like 2 guys could get it on. I think they like paid them or whatever so they could get on, and then they came out and it was like the 2, like one of them like looked borderline like he was transitioning to be a woman. And then the other one was like seemed really gay too. So I was like, I didn't know who the top was.
They're versatile, probably.
Yeah. But I'm like, geez, Louise, there's like orgies going on.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like most of the prison shows I watch, they never talk about any of that stuff. Like it's pretty, there was like 60 days in, there was one guy that was like bald and he was very effeminate. But he was like a peripheral character.
Well, I think a lot of times they put them in segregated, because if you do look feminine or whatever, I think it probably is a real problem in prison.
Well, this guy it was the opposite. He was the bell. He was the belle of the ball.
Or you're too, but there is such a thing as being too popular.
Yes.
And I guarantee the prison
guards,
prison guards are like, look, he's like, my dance card's filled. Just Jesus.
I mean, that was literally what it was. He was, and he was Queenie too.
So so Jenny's Bistro. So I'm working there, and there's a chain gang behind the broiler, and they're making the all the food and everything, and then all of the hostesses. There's this one hostess, and I don't know, she was like 16 or 17, and it was really funny because she wore like these tiny little skirts, and she was the hostess for the restaurant. And I remember the manager was this older woman, and the manager would say to her, like, do not go in the kitchen. Like, you are not allowed.
Oh my God.
Just don't go in the kitchen.
Holy shit. Yeah. That could be an issue.
Just more for like, because I think it was really, and I don't think it's because she's worried about this girl. I think it's because she's like, I already trained the guy on the salads. Like, we don't have to retrain the salad guy because he threw cum at you like Miggs from the Silence of the Lambs.
Lamb.
Yeah. And then
like
there,
Spider-Man.
speaking of there was a dessert guy who was just one. He was kind of a weird, like hybrid because he was like a local high school kid, but he worked in the back of the house. So I watched him slowly become completely corrupted by like all the prisoners. So within within because I worked there for I don't know 6 months, maybe 8 months, maybe. And what was funny to me was about 3 months in, he told me, he was like, hey, you ever do Ritalin? And I was like, yeah, I've done some Ritalin. He was like, I have Ritalin prescription. Like, do you want to buy my Ritalin? So I started buying my Ritalin from him. And then I saw like the guys on the broiler would like taught him how to smoke like Lucy's. And I was like, I don't know, I'm sure he's doing great
Ritalin,
now.
that was pre-Adderall because Adderall wasn't out yet, right? Because now nobody would do Ritalin.
Yeah, Ritalin. Yeah, we would buy, I would get Ritalin. We get like 500 pills of Ritalin and we would just smash them all up and would make like, if it was cocaine, the pile would be like 4 ounces. And we would do, I remember I would do a line of Ritalin that was so long that afterwards I would cough and I look like a dragon. All this white smoke would pop, white powder would come out of my mouth. I'd be like, ah. Anyway, so, but there was another girl and she was a bus girl and she was really sweet kid. And she was okay. This is where it gets a little weird here.
Yes,
but she was like,
I mean, yeah, because what led us into this was pedophilia.
She was like 15 or 16, and she had a huge crush on me. I mean, she just did, and she was a nice kid. And we at the last when my ex-girlfriend and I, when we were leaving Bucks County to move back to New York, which was like December of '98. My all the people in the restaurant, very nice. We all went to a Moroccan restaurant. Who knew there was a fucking Moroccan restaurant? Wow. And we all went to this place and we sat around, and the 15-year-old girl sat next to me, and I let her hold my hand under the table. And then my girlfriend caught me doing that.
Wow.
And she got really pissed off. Yeah, well, she also
on the other side of you.
Yeah, she's on the other side. She's like, she's holding hands with a 12-year-old boy.
Oh my God. Yeah. You guys were into some weird shit.
Here's the thing. I was holding hands with this girl.
But that's all the further it went was
God. Yeah.
Oh, well, that's not that
I know, but still, listen, I've been beaten up a lot in the past 24 hours. But
it's bizarre, but it's not.
I knew, and this is very self-serving, but I knew that she would get a big kick out of it. And I was like, I remember.
And you were hard.
What's that?
And you were hard as a rock.
Oh God, yeah. No, she was a really nice kid. I remember thinking to myself, like, we're all these restaurant degenerates, and this girl's parents like let her go out with a bunch of us at like 15, and okay, I guess. But all I did was I just held her hand under the table, and I remember she was very excited by holding my hand, and that's all I did. But I remember thinking
she might be hung up on you still. She might have never moved past that.
Well, now she's in her early 40s. So yeah,
you should look her up, see where she's at.
Hey, Jenny's Bistro. I mean, and I wonder if there's a Facebook page for all the convicts that I used to be buddies with. Or yeah. So anyway,
my dad hired a bunch of because convicts would learn upholstery as a skill.
Yeah, it's trade
and he hired a few convicts, but they were always older dudes.
Right.
It was never young guys. So he never really had any. I mean, they were nice guys.
Yeah,
sure. They were just like, I think he hired a dude that was like in a biker gang.
Okay.
Or whatever. So, but I mean, they had kind of done their time and learned a skill. And then they were like some of his best employees were, which doesn't say much about the rest of them.
It'd be funny, like for your birthday, they take one of their toothbrushes and make it a shank and give it to you.
Right.
Here you go, kid. Yes. Got to get in and out real fast. Remember, it's not about the first poke; it's about the 30th.
Right. Yeah. It's like a carpet. I mean, it's death by a thousand cuts.
You're hoping to puncture an organ
because they always go.
Yep.
It's like rapid fire. Yeah. Hey, hair on fire.
Yep. What do you got?
$1.99. They didn't say anything, but they just gave a little.
Oh, hey, thank you.
How do you do?
Well,
thanks,
nice.
Hair on Fire.
Nice to hear from you. Thank you very much. It's the Pedophile Convict Hour with Brian and Adam here. So anyway, but that was what I was up to. But that was that time that that was the time when I drove down to Tioga in Philadelphia, and I bought the cocaine, and I bought crack by accident, and I went back and returned it.
Listen, we've all been there. You got to keep your receipt, though.
When you're on the street and they go, "You want rock or powder?" When he said rock, what I thought he meant was like the strength of the purity of the drug.
You thought you were getting it right off the brick,
something like that.
Like powder meaning like cut, and then but
Yes.
they wouldn't give you that.
No.
So you when did you realize that you had bought crack, and how much crack did you buy?
Well, okay, so, and forgive me if we've told the story before, sorry, but what had happened was I was with Carl, as a matter of fact, and my other friend and one other friend, and they were actually visiting from New York. And this is how much fun I was. People from New York would come visit me in my insemination horse trailer cottage, and we were down there, and we were all hanging out, and we were drinking these big Wild Turkey 101s and ginger ales. That was what I drank back then. And we're having these Wild Turkey 101 and ginger ales, drink. And we have a bunch of them. And I remember it was like February, and it was like fucking 2 degrees. It was blisteringly cold. So we were like, look at each other. We were like, hey, let's get some. We're talking about like bad neighborhoods, because Carl knows Philadelphia. I don't know Philadelphia. And I was like, what's the bad neighborhood in Philadelphia? And he goes, Tioga. And I said, really? I said, what's that like? He goes, it's really bad. He's like,
you don't want to know.
He's like, it's it's Puerto Rican. It's like the worst neighborhood you've probably ever seen. I go, you think they have drugs there? And he goes, yeah, probably. I said, well, why don't we get in your car, and why don't we make ourselves some big drinks, and let's drive down to Tioga and let's score some blow.
How could it go wrong?
And oh, by the way, it was snowing. And in my mind, I said to myself, we're not going to get pulled over, because cops don't want to pull you over.
This was the time where you just found the fellas they were just hanging out on the street corner, right?
So this is what happened. So we were in the car, we drive, pull over. It was so funny because we like pull over in Tioga. And I remember like we're in the neighborhood and we're driving really slowly down a side street, and there's just a car on the left, and the car's just on fire. Like there's just cars on fire, just like burning. Like,
jeez,
but it was like a very soft. It was almost like somebody lit the seat on just to warm their hands. Like
sure.
Like remember the movie Rocky when they're doing doo-wop?
Usually you'd use a trash can, but if you have like an
they
old like
Chrysler
Nissan
Sebring. yeah. Reliant K car.
Yeah.
So I'm like, we're driving to Tioga, and we're kind of looking around. And then I see like a couple of guys hanging out in the corner, and they're wearing they're all bundled up, and they're just like standing around. I go to my friend, Carl, and I go, that's the good. I said, let me off here. So let me off, and I walk over, and I go over, and I said, hey, hi guys, hello, good evening. I'm like, you guys,
good evening.
I said, and this is what I used to do when I used to find out if people were selling drugs. I go, you guys on the clock? You guys working right now, or what's going on here? And then they go, yo, what are you looking for?
You union boys?
Yes. Is this some sort of a did the shop steward sanction this break? And I just went like, well, what are you guys up to over here? And they go, I said, kind of like, what are you looking for? That kind of thing. And I said, looking for some blow. You guys have Coke? And they go, rock or powder? And I, again, at the time, and it was freezing. I didn't have my jacket on. I remember saying, I was like, oh yeah, rock is better. And they're like, okay. So I said, I tell you what.
Like, you're a little pale for.
I said, what do you have for, and you go, well, we have 20s. And I said, all right, can I get 3 20s for 50? I said, and then let me go around the corner and check it out. And if it's good, I'll come back and I'll buy like 10 more.
Okay.
And they were like, okay. So I gave them the money, and they did that like wire thing, which I've never really even seen before, where they like whistled. Sure. And somebody came from the other side, like under a car.
You want to be standing with it. Yeah. You have the stash somewhere else.
I guess. I mean, I only done this in New York, where they didn't seem to have like that extra step. New York, they were just kind of like, here you go, out of my pocket.
Oh, okay.
So they
smaller operation, probably.
Yeah. So they give me the 3, I give them the 50. I go, thanks guys, I'll probably be back. And they were like, okay. So we go around the corner, and we're like parked next to like something else that's on fire, and we look at the 3 things, and they're these little tiny vials, right? And immediately, and I held it up, and I look and I shake it, and it's little rocks, and I went, oh no. I said, this is crack. My one friend was kind of like, so
oh no.
Oh well. And
as he's like pulling out his fucking,
he's getting a fucking can of Dr. Pepper, emptying it,
packing up a little pad.
Yeah. So he's like, this is crack. And I said, oh shit. I said, all right, don't worry. I said, take me back. They were like, what? I go, just take me back. It's okay. So
I meant to get, this is hilarious.
Isn't
this is like exactly what they would expect some like white guy from Peddler's Village to be doing. He's like, absolutely, yep, this checks out. Exactly.
They didn't fucking blink. Right. I went right back to him, and I literally got out of the car, and I went over, and I said, you guys, I am such a goose. I said, listen, when you said rock, what I thought you meant was like the purity of it, or some kind of a, whatever. I said, I didn't realize you meant like freebase crack. You know what I mean? They were like, well, like looking at me like, yeah, duh, like first rodeo, you know? I said, I tell you what, can I give you those 3 back, and can I get 3-pack of powder. And I said, and
Mhm.
here's 100. And then can I get 7 on top of that? Just
Yeah.
I'm assuming that
Right. This
everything's
sounds
going to
like
work out.
like an elaborate chain scam.
I know.
If I were those guys, I would be going.
This is like,
because think of how great that would be. A good switcheroo, right? You go, let me just quick put some like bunk.
yeah, but
You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
give it back to these
well, yeah, when
Puerto Rican
yeah.
fellas.
when you see a white guy in boat shoes in the middle
Yeah,
of February,
but that's why it's a fucking perfect crime. Because he goes, you know what? Silly me.
oh, God.
And then they're like, wait a minute, they got freaking
Yeah.
pebbles of soap.
well, they're not going to like bring out like a testing kit, you know, like on the street corner and be like,
Right.
oh man, white boy uses going down now.
Mhm.
Shit,
I feel like they would just respect the switcheroo and go,
yeah.
all right, you know what?
man. When a player gets played, you respect the game.
Game recognized game. Is
Yeah,
what they say.
exactly.
Right.
This boy, you knew
Right.
we done get tricked good.
Real
But
quick,
yes.
our boy Hair on Fire, he wrote, Brian, are you coloring your hair?
No, thank you for asking.
No, you
I
can
am
see the
not.
salt and pepper in there. He's not
Yeah,
coloring it.
matter of fact, I'm not. There's no product in it. That's why my hair is looking more and more gray. I feel like I turned 52, and my hair got a lot grayer. But I don't have any product in it. So, but the product doesn't have color in it. But if I use like this kind of like a clay a little bit, just a little bit, and I don't have anything in it. So if I have nothing in my hair, it actually looks pretty great, especially under these lights.
On this camera, it doesn't look. It doesn't like you can't see any. I think because like the contrast or whatever.
So it does look gray.
No, it does not
okay.
look gray. So
I
that's
see.
why he I think
Yeah.
he's saying based on
No,
this.
I have never colored my hair.
Camera.
I used to bleach my hair white, where you like put that peroxide and paste on it, and you take all the
Right.
color out of it.
Mhm.
But you know, that's not
But he
for-
accidentally said that question twice. So,
Oh, well, no, I don't, and I
are you
still don't.
coloring? Yeah, and I still don't. And then he wrote follow up.
Yep.
Are you still blind or just not wearing your shades?
I'm just not wearing my shades.
But you never were like
I was never 100% blind anyway, but
not like Brian Fischler where he wears the
No.
shades because he probably has googly eyes.
yeah,
Right?
he has googly eyes. I don't have
Mhm.
googly eyes. What I do have is I have a sensitivity a lot of times to light, so I will wear them for that reason.
Mhm.
But for some reason in here, it's okay. It's not, you know, it's not like.
But like
bothering
maybe
me.
when you're in the sun, but
But-
that's just kind of.
But here's the thing too. I know, and
sunglasses.
just to expound on that,
Mhm.
I am as blind as I was, say, 4, 5, 6 years ago. I've just gotten a lot better at being blind, and I'm
Yeah,
just a lot more used to it now. So I could, for example, I'll meet people that I haven't seen in like 5 years, and they're like, "Oh, are you cured?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." But I just,
Mhm.
you kind of trust me though. I still walk into fucking, you know, plants and trip over shit. And
Right.
everything. I mean,
Wondering what
yeah.
a thing is.
yeah. The other day, something happened that was really funny and blind. The other day, I ate something. Oh yeah, it was like, where was I? It was just yesterday. And it was with my wife, no, my daughter, and I thought we were eating these deviled eggs,
Mhm.
and I thought that there was like a balled up napkin, like a cocktail napkin next to the deviled eggs, and I picked up
Yeah.
the balled up napkin and I put that in my mouth, and I was like,
Wow.
"Oh, what's a napkin? Whoops."
Oh wow! So you actually got
Oh yeah. And
it
it's
got all the way to your mouth.
all the way to my mouth.
Because
Yeah.
you would think that would feel
I
quite a
wasn't.
bit different.
I was like
from a deviled
talking
egg.
and just
Okay.
I just kind of like popped it in my mouth. It was very quick from like the table to my mouth. I was like,
And you're like,
and then I was like, oh
oh
I
boy,
pulled it out. It like
yeah,
stuck
that's a
them.
tricky thing with food.
Yeah, food is food, and also like the other day, there was some mozzarella in the fridge, and it had been there for. I'll tell you one thing about fresh mozzarella. That shit goes bad in like a day. You cannot leave.
I almost never buy. I mean, and if I ever do buy it, it's to use immediately. So
Yeah. So I bought a ball of mozzarella and we had a little left. And I remember it was in a Tupperware thing, and I pulled it out and I was going to use it for something. And I looked at it and I took my camera out and I took a picture of it, and it was covered in mold. So I'm not big on like leftovers in the fridge. I'll just throw shit out. I'm like, I don't want to, because I didn't want to eat fucking moldy cheese. It's gross. So anyway, so to answer your question, yes. But I do wear, trust me, if you ever see me at the airport, I look like fucking Henry Keller. Like, it's hilarious. I have the glasses, the stick.
For sure.
I'm like, where's the aeroplane?
Am I in the Hudson News?
Yes.
You're like,
Yeah. Father said we're going to St. Louis
you're
to visit.
on another.
We're visiting grandmama. So anyway, so I go back, and the guy ended up swapping me the
Just no questions asked.
nope. Just give
Yeah.
right back to him, and then I went back. And what was funny is then we go around the corner to another corner, and then we're like dumping it out, and we're kind of like doing it off
Sure.
our hands. We each do like a 20 bag immediately, and it was It was legitimately what it
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
And then what was funny is then we were like, now what do we do? And then my friend, not Carl, somebody else, I don't get Carl in trouble fucking 30 years later, but somebody goes, let's go get hand jobs. I said, okay. So we all went. Philadelphia has a thriving Chinatown, and the Chinatown
the washy wash.
is
I feel like we talk about this every week, but
probably. Well, this is,
Yeah.
but it's full of whorehouses down there.
that's what
Yeah.
I hear about the washy wash.
Yeah. So that's exactly what happened. So we went, but what was funny was like, it was one of these places that had like a sauna in it. And so me and my two friends, we were in the sauna, and we were in there, and we had our robes on, and we brought cocaine into the
That
sauna.
sounds like a fun night.
And we're doing like blow in the sauna. I'm like, wow,
Why not?
I mean, honestly, but it was good because the sauna is so dry, it made the blow very fluffy. So it was like, so we're in there.
Well, I would think that would be hard to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of it would just get stuck to your hand.
Well, because it's so dry, such a dry heat that it's not
a sauna's dry heat.
Oh yeah, sauna.
Oh,
yeah, not like a steam room. Steam room is wet.
Oh, okay. I thought I was thinking that we're talking about like a steam room. Okay.
No. I'm talking about like one of those things where you go in and they like a wood sauna type of
Got
thing.
you. Okay.
Or you're sitting on those wood planks and everything.
Okay.
And, yeah. That's where when I used to belong to Equinox before I got kicked out, I would always go in the sauna at Equinox. And as soon as I walked in, you could feel the gay energy just escape the whole sauna. Like, oh, here's this guy. I come in and be like,
they really know though
that I'm straight.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I don't have a good body. So that's like the number one. Like,
I guess probably like a Manhattan gay.
Yes.
You would have to be.
Yes.
Like
if you're in
the good shape.
Equinox
Because
Sports,
like if you're anywhere else, like you see roly-poly gay guys and
you do. You're right.
or whatever, like
no, but this was like
regular.
I mean, look, if you're in the Equinox Sports Club steam or sauna, and you walk and everyone in there is gay, at the very least, there's an energy of just gay. You know what I mean? Like everyone's kind of like talking about like, I don't know, like Broadway or dick holes or whatever, gay stuff. Yeah. And I come in and I just kind of ruin the mood a little bit, I'm like, hey, so guys, what's the deal with brunch?
Yeah.
You guys you guys are in really good shape, but do you put hollandaise on the Benedict, or you just kind of have it like a little on the side and do like dressing on the side? And what's up? And how do you blow each other without choking on the balls? It's like, can you please, sir.
Guys just kicking tires.
I get I get kicked out of the sauna for not being gay, which is kind of exactly how it happens.
Yeah.
Yep. But I don't know if you can like go on the street anymore and like buy drugs.
I bet you could if you went. Well, I know you can in Jackson Heights because I've had guys say Pericos on Roosevelt Avenue.
That's right.
But that's like you can get like a whore, a different like a new identity.
Yep.
Because they say Sosa, and that's the papers.
Can you just buy a Social Security card? Like,
I guess.
What do you do with it? I would imagine these. Do they?
So I think if you're all right. So like if I'm from,
go ahead.
I don't know, El Salvador.
Sure.
Right. And I'm here illegally, and you want to just get like a job, or I think it's kind of like the way I see it is you get just enough to where the employer can be like, okay, I'm covered here. Like in terms of like, I can believe the lie sort of things. Like he's got some papers.
Yeah. It's like something.
Yeah.
And also, ironically, not to get into politics, but I know that there's been a lot of culling of the federal government. So I wonder if like they've done so many cuts to the immigration service where like ironically, like they're not getting as many immigrants as they would want because there's less people in that office to like process Social Security numbers and that kind of shit. Right. Like, I don't know, who fucking knows.
But yeah, I didn't know what that meant for a long time. And then somebody told me, they were like, oh, that means that's like papers. Maybe I should just get some just to like.
Yeah, why not? Get a second, new identity type of thing. Well, it's funny because I get this stuff in my Instagram feed all the time about becoming a citizen of Ireland, like get your Irish citizenship.
Yeah, because you can get if you have like,
but
one or more.
But like I know for a fact my grandfather's grandfather is from Ireland. So I mean, what the fuck? They came over in like in 1850. So
yeah, I feel like it has to be because my cousin was gonna get a job. It was like a job somewhere in the UK.
Okay.
And so he was able to his mother's side, I'm on his dad's side, but his mother was like full Irish.
Okay.
And so he was able to, because of his maternal I don't know, grandfather or something like that, but he was able to get some kind of a visa.
Yeah, like I know, like my wife's mother's English, but you can't get, like she could get a UK passport if her father was English. It doesn't go through the mother's side.
Oh, okay.
So
That's very progressive.
No, they're like, we don't want your dirty English pussy.
Right, it's like the opposite of being Jewish.
Yeah, exactly.
If your mother's vagina is Jewish,
your vagina is Jewish, then you're fine. But yeah, I don't know. But it's funny because like I went through the rabbit hole a little bit, and I was kind of like, they're like, if you have like 4 generations, I guess maybe they need people to live in Ireland. I guess because I don't know if they want you to move there, if they're, I don't know. I'm not doing it, but you know, I don't know. I knew a guy who was like, his grandfather's dad was from Greece. And he had a Greek passport, but like he had to get it renewed all the time, and it was like a big pain in the ass. And they didn't want him to like have it, and I don't know. It's like, who fucking knows? But I don't know. I'm thinking about I wish I could have a trip. If you could go somewhere, where'd you go?
Fuck.
Go ahead.
Maybe the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
Like a nice I don't know.
Ibiza?
A beef. No.
Ibiza. Yeah.
I don't know. I like beaches.
Me too.
So like maybe one of those like real nice, somewhere like Greece or something.
There you go.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Italy. I
know people that have gone to Greece. I mean, a lot of people have gone to Greece, but it's like, I always hear the same thing. They always say it's incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
And it's like full of like, I don't know, like Russian oligarchs. It's like, it's very like, it's very kind of douchey. I don't know. Like, it's like everyone, it's very, I don't know what it is, but it's like, everyone's like, it's very Eastern European-y, kind of like obnoxious. And it's always like, all these like nightclubs, and it's like, you want to go to a disco? And it's always like a disco, and you go and
looking for some American foxes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the wild and crazy guys.
Wild and crazy, yeah. It's 100. It's always, everything's like, whenever you hear like, it's 120 euro for disco, and for bottle service, it's 800 euro, and everything's like euro. It's like,
I would do some. One of my buddies was trying to get me to go to Spain with him, it was like 6 months ago, because we have a friend that was a foreign exchange student when we were in high school that we used to skateboard with, and he lives in like a little seaside town so maybe something like that. My thing was like, it was him and I and like one other dude, and I'm like, I can't like go to Spain without it. Like, it's hard to explain to like your girlfriend that the last time you traveled was like to St. Paul, Minnesota.
Yeah.
And be like, yeah, I'm going to Spain. Yeah, I'm going to, without like I could have just brought her with.
Yeah.
But,
it's called Casa del Pussy too. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Casa del Strange.
Del Strange Chocha. Well, the problem is too, like for me, when I've done trips, like my friend Paul has lived kind of places, so I'll go visit him. But it's like, my wife doesn't really want to go any place. She wants to go to like just a few places. So she's not a huge traveler. I mean, she wouldn't deny that I'm saying that.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's kind of my out. Like, if I'm like, hey, I want to go to, I don't know. Like,
sure, you can just pick a place she doesn't want to go to.
Which is lots of places.
Which is like everywhere but Branson, Missouri.
Yeah. She wants to go to the Brady Brunch.
She likes family-friendly entertainment.
The Brady Brunch.
The Brady Brunch.
Which is where you go, and it's one of the guys. Greg Brady works the omelet station.
Ooh, that actually is not a bad. The Brady Brunch.
No, that's a
real thing.
That's a real thing.
I thought you just misspoke and then. And then improvised.
No. Brady Brunch.
Wow.
Yep. You go and you have brunch.
Go to the Brady Brunch.
And Greg Brady is at the brunch.
Yeah, because he's like he's like a Branson kind of guy.
Well,
like he's kind of like a real.
Yeah, you kind of go where the crowds are. Maybe. I mean, it'd be really funny too if like they wrote like a song, but it's just the Brady Brunch song. But it's like, here's a story about a brunch, and their brunch was so delicious, and it was brunch. There was hollandaise, and there was also waffles.
Just very lazily written.
We better look up, see if I'm lying. Look at the Brady Brunch, Branson, Missouri.
Yeah.
Because I know from listening to Opie and Anthony.
I hope it's a real thing.
Opie and Anthony, Yakov Smirnoff had a theater down there.
Yep. He's a big,
so that's where
the Brady.
No, like for example, this friend of mine is saying to me constantly, but he's always saying like, let's go to Thailand.
Sure.
And I'm like,
I have a lot of places I would go if I would be a passport bro. Okay, a very Brady brunch.
a
This is
very
from
Brady
TripAdvisor.
brunch. Okay.
Yeah, review of Brady lunch with Greg Brady.
There you go.
Yeah,
See, I'm not making it
That's
up,
great.
everybody.
I'm glad because I thought you were just like
no, just
goofing
stuttering
around
or something. Yeah. No,
this is great.
It's so funny because I'm watching this show and I guess I recommend it. It's called The Pit. And
okay, yeah. I wanted to watch it. I've heard it's very graphic.
It's actually not.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, it's about an emergency room in Pittsburgh.
It's like supposed to be ER Reloaded.
Well, not only is it ER not Noah Wiley from fucking ER.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Is in it. But what's funny to me is like you look at that guy and he's probably like, man, I started out my career 30 years ago as playing a young medical student, and here I am now 30 years later. Now he's like the grizzled head of the thing. Has Noah Wiley been allowed to do any other?
I heard him do I heard him on a podcast.
Oh yeah,
and I think he went way out of his way to get that made because I think what they were like, hey, we want to do like a reboot of ER, and they couldn't do that or whatever, so they just created a separate show.
What is Eric LaSalle doing?
I don't know. No, I don't think it was. I think it was just a matter of. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know the logistics, but it sounded like that was very much his baby, and he went out of his way to, I guess, play a doctor. He likes playing a doctor.
He needs a fucking job. I mean, I get it.
Sure.
But it's just kind of like, it's funny to me. You think to yourself, you start off, I mean, look, whatever. I mean, jobs are jobs, and listen, it's all about being able to fucking pay your mortgage ultimately. So, but it is, I do notice in the credits, I think he produces it.
Yeah.
You're like, I wonder if the other cast members are like, can you believe this fucking guy? He's still a goddamn doctor. At this point, do you think he's a real doctor? Do you think he can just do it all anyway?
I feel like you probably do pick up a lot.
Yeah.
From pretending you're the thing.
Although maybe a lot of it is like nonsense. You're like, give me 50 cc's of Pinot Barber tub.
No, I think it's got to be.
Crack his chest. There's a trachea in the adamomenae.
I think it's got to be very accurate. Otherwise, you'll hear about it nonstop.
From the doctor nerds.
Yeah, from the medical community.
Right. I'm like, he has ear cancer. They're like, to whom may concern? Excuse me. Number one, that was a pelvic thrust, not a fucking ear hole.
Thrust.
Yeah, I don't know. Clearly, I haven't had a lot of medical, but a pelvic.
You didn't play a doctor on a web series.
Yeah, clearly, there's just a lot of twerking going on.
Yeah.
But what's funny, that ER was produced by Michael Crichton.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so he's a Jurassic Park guy. So that's what ER was. But I don't know. But I do like the show.
I hear it's good. I hear it's very good. But it sounds really intense. And I'm usually the only time I watch TV is right before bed, and I need it. So I have to have very specific criteria.
I understand.
It can't be anything too
like
crazy.
Guys trying to date women that just got out of prison.
Yes.
I understand.
No, actually, even that I had to stop. I had to stop watching Love After Lockup because that show is just infuriating. It's just watching people do the same stupid thing over and over again.
The definition.
And the definition of being a dumbass.
Right.
According to Danny McBride.
Yeah.
Einstein's definition of being a dumbass, doing the same thing over and over again.
Really funny.
Righteous Gemstones. I think that was from the Righteous Gemstones. That's a great fucking show.
Yeah, you know what? I don't hate it. I do, but I feel like Danny McBride, it's always Danny McBride in the same role.
Same guy. And then the girl, his sister, is always the same.
Yeah.
She's always like a sexed up.
Like nerd weirdo.
A emotionally stunted.
Yes. Yeah.
Sexed up.
Well, kind of like I loved Eastbound and Down. I liked the first 2 seasons. You know what I mean? And then it got a little ridiculous.
I watched that so long ago, I don't even recall.
A lot of them say the pilot for the first Eastbound and Down is supposed to be one of the best pilots ever made.
Okay.
And I agree. The pilot for Eastbound and Down is so fucking funny.
Right.
When it opens up where he's just in the parking lot of the school and he's crying. He's just sitting there in the car and he's driving around. He's got that jet. He's just all he has left is a jet ski.
I do remember a jet ski on a trailer. Or something.
It's just so fucking brilliant. It really is. Like that show is really, really brilliant. But by the third season, it kind of becomes like a parody of itself. You're kind of like, who cares? I mean, it's sort of like once he goes to Mexico and then he comes back and he's in South Carolina and then this and this and this, and you're like, all right, it's too much. I mean, that's why English shows they're really good because They're like, we're gonna do two
They
seasons.
just kind of they're starting to do that now. I mean, like with actually with Danny McBride's other one, Vice Principals, they just did 3 seasons and they were done.
Yeah,
it was like it ran its course. So they're starting to do that more now, but it used to just be as long as people are still watching, we'll keep making it.
Oh my God. I was watching that show, The Last of Us, and they just had the season finale, and I was just so annoyed because I was like, this is the fucking, because you wait like 2. One of these shows is like, you wait 2 years for the show, like Andor. Like, did you watch Andor?
I didn't.
Okay, well,
I mean, I know what it is. It's
because
like,
you're not a nerd.
Yeah.
Well, Andor is the Star Wars show, and it's actually a really good Star Wars show. But the season finale was like 2 weeks ago, and I watched it, and it was so fucking boring. I was like, come on, give me Darth Vader flying around or something.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on, it's been 2 years. What do you guys care? It's all fantasy anyway. You have nothing but money.
You can do anything you want.
Yeah, it's not like now.
Keep it.
Yeah,
grounded.
Now the rebellion begins. On this episode, we're going to scout out a planet to see if it's a good place to put a base. And then we're going to have a big fancy wedding where everyone does drugs and they all dance around for 4 episodes. That was the whole fucking show. It was really, really dumb. And The Handmaid's Tale, I just finished too. And The Handmaid's Tale, which I loved and I completely recommend, but the last season sucked. And I hate to say that because I really liked it. But like at one point, the last episode of The Handmaid's Tale, all the women that used to be handmaids, one of them got her clit ripped off and the other one had this and that.
Yikes.
They're all singing karaoke. And I'm like, all right, guys, come on, man. Put that clip back on and get back to work.
Yeah.
Give me some
Get that
scissoring.
clip back on.
Yeah. Give me some scissoring. Yeah. Good times.
Yeah.
So this is a really funny one too. And this is a pretty funny story. And then I guess we'll probably switch over. But when I first moved to New York, when I first moved here, I just turned 18. It was May of 91. And I remember I got here and, you know, I was friends with all these kids. And a lot of kids in Baltimore were still in their senior year of high school. Like a lot of kids were like, so I still knew a lot of like kids in high school in Baltimore. There's one kid, I didn't know him that well, but he said, you're going to be in New York. He goes, can you buy me a 1/4 ounce of pot? And I said, sure. And he goes, all right, I'm going to give you $500. So he sent me Western Union $500. And of course, I didn't even know how much a 1/4 pound of pot would cost, but I figured like an eighth is $30, 8 times 4, 8, 250, 240, blah, 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 blah. So I figured around $300. I thought maybe for QP, maybe. Is that about right? Maybe.
For what we're talking about pot?
Yes.
1/4 pound of pot.
Like,
a 1/4 pound.
yes.
Ooh.
1/4 pound. That's 4 ounces.
Yeah, let me crunch some numbers here.
So you figure about I figured about $100 an ounce.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, if you're getting like that's
Shitty weed.
that's like resale or like, is that retail or is
like,
that?
It's kind of because when I used to buy like a lot of pot, a pound was about $2,000.
Yeah, I was gonna say. So like 2,000 divided by 16 ounces, like 125 an ounce,
something like that.
Okay, yeah.
So, well, maybe he gave me $600 or $700, but whatever he gave me, I had a couple $100 on top of it.
Yeah, $500.
Yeah. So I had a couple $100 on top of it. So of course I really needed. I mean, I moved here with like less than $300. I mean, it was fucking insane. So I remember the kid. I had that money, I had extra money. That was very exciting. So, but I didn't know where to buy pot. I didn't know where to buy. I didn't know anybody. I just was like, I was just in New York, and I figured, well, you know, it's a big city. I'll just try to figure it out. So I went down to Washington Square Park, which is still there, everybody. It's right where the arch is. It's right where MIU is and everything. And I remember that used to be, and it still is, like, you could buy drugs there. You can buy pot, especially pot. You go in there and there's these Jamaican guys just walking all over the place and they're just selling weed. And that's what the park is. It's a place to buy nickel bags, dime bags, whatever. So I'm there and I'm kind of walking around the park and I'm pretty much like, I mean, I must have looked like the biggest hayseed in the world. And I'm walking around and this guy I can still remember exactly what he looks like. This like kind of white guy, kind of greasy white guy comes up and he's like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, good. And he's like, well, you need anything? Or like, what do you like? And I was like, honestly, I'm glad you stopped. I'm like, I need to buy a 1/4 ounce of weed. And he was like, oh, all right, I can help you with that. Like, no problem.
Yeah.
And then he was like, how much you got? And I was like, $400. He was like, yeah, no problem. Tell you what, meet me here tomorrow. And you can, and I'll have it for you. We'll meet right here and I'll have it. I was like, oh my gosh, that is so great. Thank you. I will be here tomorrow. So I tell the guy, Alec was his name. I tell him back in Baltimore. I'm like, Alec, good news.
Good news.
I found a guy. He looks totally legit.
Got a distributor.
I found a guy in the park.
He also sells incense.
Yeah. He's just he was a white guy. I think he had one shoe. It was a fashion choice. But so the guy's like, I tell him, I go, look, I found this guy. It's gonna work out. It's gonna be great. He's like, okay, cool. So I go back to meet this guy, and by this point I was already in co-ed Prison Sluts, and I was on my way. I got on that show like immediately, and I was on my way to my rehearsal. So I stop on my way there because the theater was kind of a little west of. I know I'm kind of going down a rabbit hole. Sorry, but a little west of there. So it's like I walked down there because I didn't even have like the $1.10 for the train at that time. I mean, I did, but I didn't spend it.
Did they have tokens back then?
Oh God, yeah. They were wooden. Yes, they were wooden token. They were made of Indians' teeth.
Nice.
Old Dutch guilders. But the guy was. So I go down. I meet the guy. $400. He gives me the bag, and it's in like a brown bag and another bag. I give it to him, and he just gets the fuck out of there. He's like, "Hey, good luck, see ya," and he goes away. And I just take the bag. I don't even check it. I'm like, oh, I got this pot. So I go to my rehearsal, and I go in the bathroom at the rehearsal of the theater, and I open up the bag, and it's just oregano.
Wow.
It's a quarter pound of oregano.
I mean, I feel like, so on the bright side, that that couldn't be cheap. Quarter pound of oregano.
Well, it was definitely. Well, let me tell you why I knew it was oregano, because
Jesus.
My director of the show, I come out and I'm like white as a sheet, and he goes, "What's going on?" They all knew I just moved here, and I'm like, "Yeah, I just bought a quarter pound of weed in Washington Square Park," and they all thought I was like funny because how crazy I was.
Sure.
And they were like, "You did what?" I'm like, "Yeah, a guy from Baltimore gave me the money, and I've already spent all the money, and I bought it, and I think I got ripped off." And the guy was like, the director was like, "Let me see it." I gave it to him. He starts laughing. And he's like, "This is fucking oregano. You just bought a quarter."
But it
pound.
wasn't even like made into nugs. It was
it was like a big thing,
sack
loose,
of oregano.
It was like loose fucking bag of green shit. So
I was like, "I got you a quarter ounce of shake."
So I said to my, I remember saying to the director, I'm like, "Well, maybe it's like sprayed with something, or maybe it's like got treated or something."
Sure.
He was like, I don't know.
He's lightly seasoned.
So I took it to the UPS store over on 44th and 10th Avenue. And I stuck it in. I found some I had some old shoes in my apartment. So I took it and I stuffed it in. I took all the laces out. I put it in one shoe, and I mailed the one shoe, and I put it in a box, and I put it in UPS to my friend's house. And 3 days later, he calls me. He's like, "This is fucking oregano." I was like, "No way." And he's like, "This is fucking oregano." And I
Holy
said,
shit.
"Well, looks like I
don't know. It'd be like, I don't know what pot looks like."
Well, I said,
Boy Scout.
Yeah, no Boy Scout. So I said, "That can't be." And he goes, "It is." And I said, "Well, look, I'm really sorry. I must have gotten ripped off." He's like, "Well, you owe me my money." And I was like, "Nah."
And what did you settle on? How much was it?
It was like $400.
$400.
He gave me like $700. I put a couple $100 on top to like pay, to give myself money.
Shipping and handling.
I did kind of rip him off.
Void where prohibited.
I didn't mean to rip him off that much. I just meant to like,
listen, to be fair,
yeah,
I was only trying to kind of rip you off.
I thought I would just
I didn't mean to really. I also got ripped off.
I was putting a premium on it,
but you weren't really a pot guy so much, right? You
well,
didn't really
those days
weed.
I was. Back in those days,
okay.
Oh God, yeah, 18, absolutely.
So you were probably looking to wet your beak, in that respect too.
I would have broken off a little. I was more about the money at that point. I was like, I've broken off a little bit.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was really funny. So, but then it was so funny because then like I had to go back for Thanksgiving, and like he was like, "I'm gonna kick your ass." I was like, "No, you're not." And then I saw him at a party, and he was like, "Urgh."
He's like,
and then
I'm considering,
yeah. And even like 20 years later, because we were still friends with other people. And 20 years later, I remember he came up to me and he was like, "Hey man, you fucking ripped me off." And I was like, "Look, I got ripped off. Yes. But then if I got ripped off, I mean, you got ripped off. Sorry. You know what I mean? You had me doing something illegal. I try to do it. And we all took a chance here. And sorry. I'm like, well, I'm not going to the fucking ATM right now. I'm getting $400 for you. So fuck you, Alec. And by the way, it's Alex, not Alec. It's annoying. What are you, fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi?
Yeah, I know an Alec. It is very
take it easy, Alec.
It's confusing.
All right, let's take a quick bathroom break, and we'll come back for the show. Remember, guys, Patreon, if you like the show, hit that fucking like and subscribe thing. Would you please? All right. I'm doing this for a long time, and I love the audience we have, but it's always fun when we have more people listening. So if you could please, send a link to your friends, put it on your Facebook page, whatever you can do. That doesn't cost you any money.
Repost it.
Repost it would be really terrific.
Hey, look at these crazy guys.
Look at these maniacs.
Who knows what they're going to say?
I know there's 800,000 podcasts out there, and we certainly appreciate you lending us your ears. And we'll be back next week. And that's it. Remember, it's Brian M. Show on all the socials. And then on Patreon, it's, I know it's behind us. And any more to say hi to, or are we good?
We're good. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Everybody, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Bye.